Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Big Time Auto Racing, Episode 6. I'm Dylon Wilson, your co-host, along here with Brandon Pierce. Brandon, you made the trek down here to Hickory today for on this Monday afternoon. We had a long drive this weekend, one of the longest of the year. Well, at least for me, and I mean it's pretty long for you too. And so we didn't get to record yesterday, but we're recording here on Monday. So we've had some time to process the race a little bit more and all the controversy and fireworks and everything that went on. How was your weekend, or how was your Sunday? Did you get to relax any, or was it mostly just catching up on your housework?
Yeah. I relaxed a little bit. Didn't really do a whole lot. Got unpacked, got settled back in with the wife, and then watched a little bit of the Cup race, and that was about it.
Yeah. We've got this week's show is about Langley, and my first trip up there. You've probably made several by this point. Ran the Hampton Heat a few times and all that good stuff. But for those of you that listen, obviously last week we just raced Wilkesboro, and we're heading to Hampton, Virginia to go do some racing. And to start off the show, as per usual, we like to do our track ratings, and we've done it all year. We've kept up with each track's final score. We rated on configuration, condition, and raceability, phone signal, that is, concessions, facilities, and shitters, and the city and nightlife, surrounding area, food, hotel, all that good stuff. So 5 separate categories. It's not a very fair rating system, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Like, some tracks are way better than they're put out to be. Hickory's the lowest scored one, and it's probably my favorite track ever, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so it sucks sometimes for some people, but anyway, maybe next time we'll kind of adjust the scoring a little bit to try to make it a little more true. I don't really know how we do it, but this is how we like to do it anyway. So starting off with configuration and condition up at the Langley Speedway, what did you give it, and how'd you feel about it?
Yeah, I love Langley. I love the way that it races. Obviously I know it'll probably reflect or somewhat in yours. There's no issues with the surface, coming apart or anything like that. It's very well maintained and
really cool asphalt they use, I think, to pave it too.
Yeah,
stuff that seems to wear out pretty quick and gets real hot and greasy during the day. And we were not victims, but we got to witness how much the track can speed up when it cools down. Wasn't aware of that. Never seen that happen. But yeah, it was a cool track.
Yeah, so I gave it a 9. And again, that category is based off configuration and the condition of the racetrack. So everybody knows I'm one of those guys that's for any racetrack where it's put kind of in the driver's hand, where it's a driver's track where you got to, really kind of finesse yourself around there. So it was a 9 for me.
Yeah, there's no balls to the walls there. Hardly ever went full throttle, which is, pretty rare. So that was, I'm talking on when you're full going, you're not full throttle sometimes. So you can kind of give it a little pap there at the end and try to get you, when your spotter says clear by 3, and then you hear that clear by 4, getting in. And so that stuff was cool. I gave it a 7, configuration and condition, which that's a pretty good score. I think I gave Wilkesboro 11. But the configuration, it was really cool. It was super different, super flat, very round, long corners, very technical and tricky to figure out your first time. Me and Brandon have I think that's why our podcast has been good, because we have 2 very different perspectives on racetracks and stuff, because you've been to a lot of them. You know which ones suck and which ones are good. And I don't know. I'm going into most of these blind and kind of giving a raw reaction. And you've given me a ton of help at the track and stuff. But Langley, I don't know if there's anything I would do to make it better. I think it's a great track.
For our viewers, did your 7 have anything to do with you doing the one thing I told you not to do? That you had a nice little moment with on Friday?
I was in practice. The 8 and the 03, I think, were trained up together. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to follow them guys. They know what they're doing. So I get up the groove a little bit, let them go, and by God, I hit ice. I almost wrecked. I was trying to square up the right side to brush the wall and not just pound it with the right front.
Your dad told me, he's like, you came in and he was asking you about the car, and you were like, did you not just see me about bust my ass?
Yeah. That was a mistake on my part, but it's not like I was up there just in the middle of nowhere. I was, but I didn't know it. It didn't look
Yeah.
like the middle of nowhere. It looked like the top at Hickory.
Yeah.
Not the no man's land. But I did go up there and almost hit the fence in practice. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that again. And that came true later. I wasn't going to go up there again. I ended up in another car. So, yeah, configuration and condition for me was a 7. Not a phenomenal score, not a real low score. I think there was, some thing, and I'm factoring in raceability too. I get sick of getting dive bombed. It pisses me off. I got dive bombed quite a bit, and I had to protect the bottom a lot. That's annoying. I'm not saying it's not good. It's just not good for somebody who cannot, really risk tearing too much shit up. So, and I'm just learning to pace myself, be aggressive when I need to be aggressive. I don't think I've earned my stripes yet to just send it on everybody every lap. Some people do and don't care. I do. I try to race clean, and so that probably took 1 point off. But other than that, man, it was a really cool racetrack, and the conditions of it was phenomenal. The whole racetrack, the facilities, everything, and we'll get to that. But it was really good shape. Signal, I gave it a 7. I was in pretty good shape most of the weekend. I could pretty much send what I wanted to send, and race monitor worked fine. Although timing and scoring was down for a little bit. But
yeah, that wasn't, and to my knowledge, that wasn't a signal issue. I don't know what happened there, but
yeah, I gave it a 7. And that might be slightly high, but it's it was. I didn't have many issues, so it's hard to give it a low score.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think yours is fair. Mine actually was an 8, but for the reason, I mean, same thing. I mean, when Race Monitor was working, and again, I don't think it was an internet issue.
Yeah.
I could pull up, I could send text messages.
Right.
I mean, my race trace worked. So.
Yeah. Well, one of the only I try to handicap the signal a little bit because racetracks are always. It's very rare you have great signal. So.
Well, I think, it's interesting. Without trying to get us in trouble here, but I think when you're across from a base,
yeah,
probably not going to have bad signal. It may be handicapped,
yeah,
but it's probably not going to have.
Yeah, being across from a military base is a bit of a. I'm sure there's a little bit of scrambling or something going on at certain times of the day. My signal at the hotel sucked. I will say that. That had nothing to do with the score, but that was weird.
Yeah.
Then it didn't have Wi-Fi of all things, so
Really?
that was a little odd. So 7 and 8 on signal. Concessions. So I didn't get to eat once again, but this time I made up for. So anytime there's a legendary food item at a racetrack, if I don't eat it, I inspect someone who is eating it. And this week I inspected Colin Bowden eating his, and I videoed him, and I'll put that in my vlog, his review of the fries. And if I remember right, he gave it like a 9 or 8.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty high score.
Colin told me that he does not eat hot dogs except at one place, and that's Martinsville.
Yeah.
So he's
a man of tradition and honor.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
And he said he would put it right up there with the Martinsville hot dog. So
They look good. Just all it is fries. They're called redneck fries.
Correct.
Up at Langley, and they have a little food trailer in the center of the racetrack.
They
It's
do.
not an actual concession stand, so it's maybe hurts the score a little bit.
Yeah.
I like food trucks, but I do also love when a track has their own concessions and they sell beer and they sell all sorts of stuff. That's where you get the 9s and 10s at.
Right.
But the redneck fries looked really good. It was all really organized, and the fans in the stands seemed to have a great time. And they had all sorts of entertainment, live music. All that good stuff going on. And concessions, that kind of falls into that category, right? Because concessions are convenient things for fans, I think, is sort of the and drivers alike for the, overall. And they had a playground for kids. They had a live band out there. They had this crazy light show. Barring the timer thing, that kind of sucked. The lights did go off during the race, but it was kind of a freak deal. But the pre-race stuff was awesome. The lighting on the racetrack was really good. But back to concessions, it was I gave it a 7, and that's I feel like a pretty fair score.
Yeah.
Considering everything I didn't eat them once again, so maybe it ain't that accurate, but they did look really good.
Yeah, no. So I'm gonna go on record here and say that I'm gonna re-rate mine when I go back for the Hampton Heat and
eat them.
Yeah, well, that and just in general, and so to go ahead and get it out of the way, I gave it a 5. But the only reason I did that is I wanted to split the middle on it because I did not eat anything.
Yeah.
But I do know, and I was hoping to be able to take you up there, but I've been up there so many times I should have already tried them by now. But when we're there for the Hampton Heat, the schedule's a little bit more spread out. They still make us pull trailers out like they did you know, for the tour, which I think is a good thing for up there. Makes it tough on us, a little hectic sometimes, but you know it's not too bad. I mean, for the experience and for the viewership, even for your teams, you know, to be able to see during the race, I think it's definitely a positive. But up there behind the grandstands, there's a ton of concessions. I mean,
Really?
I know. I'm pretty sure it was.
I feel a lot better about my set.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, there's always a band up there. I've never been up there and there not been a band.
Yeah.
They have. I knew on Friday. I went to the restroom on Friday when we got there and signed in. I mean, their beer prices I think is like $3 or something like that. I mean, they have a ton of concessions back there. Take cash and card. There's plenty of them, like plenty of windows. It's kind of a narrow but very wide concession stand back there, and I mean, I'd say it's 8 to 10 windows, if not more.
Wow.
So
I need to come back. Every one of these tracks, man, we're not gonna experience the food really good. So that's something I think going forward we should write down and be like, the concessions should also be paired with the overall fan experience in our eyes, and if that's the case, Langley would be a whole lot higher.
Well, I think a lot of times too, and this is not knocking any racetrack because I get why. I mean, you guys do more than enough for us, so I want to go on record and say I'm not complaining. A lot of times, or let me rephrase, sometimes racetrack concessions are not open on Friday. And I think if they were, it may be where you and I would have a little more time gap, because I'm just like you, and I'm sure there's racers who it doesn't matter. And I'm not saying that I don't eat, but it's very inconsistent on race day whether I am or I don't, or when I'm going to.
I know. It's just hard. Some race days I'm really hungry and good to go and eat whatever. Some race days I just want like a PB&J and some crackers and just kind of keep it pretty light for the rest of the day.
Like I said, I'm gonna we have the Hampton Heat July 22nd, and I'm gonna re-rate mine when we go up there then. But
there you go.
Like I said, to be fair, I just wanted to go right down the middle, but can't say enough about Bill Mullis and his staff. You know, I think everybody that got to be there, not to get. We'll hit on this probably later, but the weather took a change and the stands were still packed. So it was a great crowd. But yeah, concessions was 5 for me.
Okay, so up next we have facilities and the shitters. And so the facilities there were great.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like all the buildings, grandstands, in tech shed, all that good stuff was in good shape. No big ramp to go up on in the tech shed, knock your damn fenders or everything off, skirts off, and all that good stuff. So that was all good. And the bathrooms I thought were great. In my opinion, they were small. And the only room for 3 to pee at a time, and that can get congested right before the race.
Right.
And only 2 stalls.
Right.
But really clean, closed off with a door. Although everybody kind of leaves it open, if I had to take the deuce, I would go in there and shut the door, and it'd be pretty quiet, even if other cars were out there running or whatever. So it's a nice, relaxing place to use the restroom, and that's a big thing for me at the racetrack. So I gave it a 9.
Yeah. Mine's an 8, and really not, same thing you said. So I've been going to Langley long enough to know that it used to be on the back stretch right there on the gravel. It was just porta-johns.
Oh, yeah.
Bill and his staff, they actually put in that restroom that's there now, and then also like where the gate we walked in at, to the right, kind of back there for their local shows where they all park right there, there's another one.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, they have plenty back there behind the grandstand.
That's good. And it's always good to have good bathrooms at a racetrack.
And then, as you said, they have I don't know if you used it. I did not. I do use it when we go for the Hampton Heat because I wait to get dressed later in the evening because we don't race till like 9 o'clock for that race. But they have a driver's lounge.
Okay.
It's right there. It's combined with the tech shed, but
nice.
like you can
I
come
think
in
I've seen it in there, and I just never went in.
Yeah, so
in my head, that's where you go to smoke cigars and drink a little bit of whiskey and kind of play some poker, stuff like that.
Beforehand.
Yeah, that's something I feel like I would like to do before I retire from racing.
But I know up there for the Hampton Heat, they always the AC's on in there, and they tell the drivers, "Hey, go in there and cool off," because up there for the Hampton Heat, I mean, it lives up to its name. It is hot.
Yeah.
So
do you pull your trailers out of the infield for the Hampton Heat?
We do.
Do you ever go in the infield for the Hampton Heat? Like as far as the trailer, does it ever
same thing as Friday. Yep,
okay.
And then they pull out about the same time, 5:30, 6 o'clock on Saturday.
Makes sense. Up next, we got City Nightlife. We was 9 and 8 there on the facilities and bathrooms. City and Nightlife, food, all that good stuff. The surrounding area is our next rating, and I gave it a 7. And that's because there's seafood all over the place, oysters everywhere, all sorts of cool little spots. There's bars, nightlife, like party life. I didn't go experience any of it, but We sat by the hotel pool basically and drank a couple beers. That's about all we did, and sat in our sorrows. But the town looked cool. The only thing that kind of held it from getting up to that elite territory in the 8 or 9s was the traffic. Traffic's pretty bad. There's some rough spots of town, like no doubt about it. Like there's our hotel was nice, but everything around it, there was heaping piles of trash around the dumpsters and just shit everywhere, like in the parking lots, is cups and trash and stuff.
Yeah.
So like not to be picky, but like maybe not. Next time I might look for a different area to stay, but we're on a budget, and that was the cheapest one we'd find at the time, so worked out. So I gave it a 7. Not elite, but it's definitely better than some.
Yeah, mine's a little higher, but again, mine. I think this is a great example of why you and I enjoy this podcast so much, especially for our viewers and you getting to go to these new places. Like I said, mine. I tried to not be too biased when I was doing my ratings today before coming down here, but as you touched on, this was probably I should have done it before I came up, but I'd say I feel close enough to say probably my 10th time going to Langley.
Okay.
So, I've had, I know you did get to go to Harpoon Larry's on Friday.
Yeah.
Had that. I think it's called Blue Water Grill. I'm not 100% sure, but Connor Hall's parents at one time had something to do with it. I'm not sure if they still do, so don't shoot me if they do, but it's good.
Harpoon Larry's was good, but the whole car store garage was there.
Which I tried to. That you text me, said, "Where the hell you at?"
I said, you said I was listening to a different podcast you was on. You said something about going to Harpoon Larry's. I'm like, well, I guess that's where we're eating Friday night. So I just booked it.
Steven asked me. He said, "Where are you taking Dylon to get the coldest beer?" And I felt, which you ended up not even getting beer.
Well,
but
I had cold liquor drinks.
There you go. So I was like, well, Harpoon Larry's.
No, that was a good call. It was a great call.
I knew, even if you go back and look at it, I told you the whole car store's there, right? And you're like, yep, sure is.
Yeah, the whole car store garage was there, and that's fine. I mean, it's a bunch of good people, but it was just busier, right?
Yeah.
And there wasn't so like the car store kind of is a traveling circus. Like most of the times they somewhat stick together as far as where we go. Like if someone tried to, I don't want to talk about shit like this, but like if someone tried to fight, let's just use an example. Let's say Bobby McCarty's drinking a Budweiser at the bar, and someone walks up and talks some junk to him. That's an outsider.
Yeah.
And him and Bobby start beating the hell out of each other. Now, Bobby's a great guy. I don't think he'd go get in a bar fight. He's a lot smarter than that. Just using an example. He looks like a guy that'd probably win a bar fight.
Yeah.
Anyway, if he starts trading blows with somebody, the whole damn rest of the car store garage is coming to help. So that is one good thing about it, because they're pretty tight-knit. We might hate each other for 2 hours every Saturday, but for the rest of the time, we all are pretty supportive of each other.
Yeah.
The group is. So it's not a bad thing that the whole car store garage goes there, but most of the time, my guys are pretty they kind of like doing their own thing and kind of being, just kind of a core group. This is at least my dad is, and
yeah, no, we're
they're
the
all
same
pretty
way.
shy. They're not.
We were about 15, 20 minutes from you guys at Peninsula Town Center. We've kind of found us a nice little local spot, Park Lane Tavern, and that's where we always go. Yeah,
that's so. I think did we not pass that? There was some kind of tavern.
You may have. I'm not sure.
I'm not. So.
Well, yeah, no. To get to your hotel, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there was a lot of stuff up there.
You passed Peninsula Town Center to get to your hotel.
There was a lot of stuff up there, and I gave it a 7. Harpoon Larry's was pretty damn good. It's very busy. I'm sure there's some places in the area that are just as good, if not better. A lot of little hidden dive.
We're gonna have to go back.
Stuff.
Yep. Our good buddy Colin told us that is it Scooters?
Something like that. Now. Also, something that affected the nightlife thing for me this week was my wife didn't get to go.
Right.
So it was kind of it's not as fun, obviously, if she's not there, because usually if she's there, we go and kind of do her own thing, and not without the crew, but I feel like it's more of a group deal.
For sure.
My wife's there, feels like the whole gang's there.
Yeah.
Right? Larry couldn't go this week. My wife couldn't go this week, so we kind of felt like we was down a cylinder on Friday night, but it was, we still had a good time. It was a cool area, but a 7, not a terrible score.
Yeah.
And you ended up with what, a 9?
Yeah. I mean, one thing we share in common, our two groups are about the same. Normally it's always, unless we're staying different directions or something happens or whatever, we normally always go out team meal on Friday. Normally my guys 9 times out of 10 are gonna drive back after the races. We don't normally, if it's far away, like Dominion, we won't.
Yeah,
Langley,
we thought about it. and we chose otherwise.
Yeah.
Just this string of races, just for my team in general, it's just a tight time, right?
Yeah,
we got a lot of traveling to do. We're bringing my race hauler that in my dad's truck, and the one that we've hauled basically just to Hickory back and forth for
Right.
damn 10 years, and now it's
20 minutes up the road's different in 5 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, we're going through some tires and going through some truck maintenance and stuff, and that's just kind of the stuff that you don't really think about when you kind of budget for the year. So we're trying to like take these couple of weeks and just not overspend. So we kind of considered coming home right after the race, but we chose otherwise, even before everything that happened.
Right.
And now our budget took an extreme hit, and we'll get into that next. But the final score for me on the five different ratings is a 7.4 average, and you ended up with a 7.8.
Yep.
7.8. So 7.6 final score, which means
P3.
top three.
Yeah.
Top three. And that's pretty damn good. And we knew it, I think, at the track. We knew it was going to be good. My car owner, Seth, he really loved the racetrack. He's like, man, I wish we lived closer here. I'd come race here more.
That's probably the not saying anything bad, but like I think it's probably the most excited I've seen Seth experiencing it. But like I think too, even you as a driver, and you specifically speaking, is a perfect example for this. You were the last trailer. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that, guys, is Dylan's trailer was basically at the exit of pit road getting into turn one. And so as flat as Langley is, I mean, he's literally can stand there and watch every single car less than 15 feet from him dive off into turn one.
Yeah, when I've seen the first few cars, when they first started first practice, I was like, holy shit, we're hauling ass into one. So when when you first see the racetrack for the first time, you're like, oh man, this is small. It's a little damn wheelman track, and like, Wake County was like my closest comparison. The only other smaller track, like hard to get full throttle straightaway track that I've ever been to, and I was sort of kind of thinking like it kind of looked like that from the infield, and nope, it seemed like we was going probably 50 mile an hour faster there than we were at Wake, but it was really neat to be able to move around the track and stuff. So 7.6, I think it's a very, very fair rating for there.
Absolutely.
And they're only 0.2 points behind being the leader, or 0.3 away from being the leader. So that's pretty cool. And still leading the stats. I know I put it up here on the screen, but for those of you listening, North Wilkesboro is P1 at 7.8. Florence is 7.7 P2. P3 is now Langley at 7.6. Then we go to Ace 7.0. Southern National 6.5, and then Hickory 6.4, which is 6th place. And again, some of these scales are not very fair, right? But there is one thing that we might have made a difference in short track racing, and you know what that is? We got to speak with the owner at Southern National, Mike Diaz, Mason's dad, and he told us that because of our asses, he's putting in damn fiber internet at Southern National.
So everybody, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
We may have cost Mr. Diaz a decent amount of money, but I think it's going to, in the long run, make him money, and he wants us to come back down there emphatically and re-rate his stuff.
So we don't even have to I'm just telling y'all ahead of time, for the rest of this year, that the Southern National score of 6.5 is probably creeping up in the 7.3,
I'd say
7.4s now.
Maybe even 7.5.
So it's really... we'll go back there, but definitely shout out to Diaz for putting in fiber internet. You guys are really,
that's
awesome.
awesome.
We're not the sole reason, but I
yeah.
feel like we help because he's definitely gave us a lot of shit over it in a good way. Just It's cool, and they're doing a lot of exciting stuff down there. He told me about some of the plans he has for some of his weekly shows, and that's something that you guys are going to be seeing a lot from Southern National. So shout out Diaz and all the people down there at Southern National. That's some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, now that we got all of our track ratings done and put out to the world and on the airwaves, we like to do our race recaps right here afterwards. And I guess last week, I don't know who went first last week, you or me.
I can't remember.
Well, let's just keep the suspense going, and you go first, and then I'll talk about everything that happened for me. So just how'd your race go, man? You were pretty good all day in practice, and
yeah, guys, how you think qualifying went?
Well, you gave me a lot of good pointers. You had a good run. So just tell us how everything went for you.
Yeah. So I will say this. That's not me trying to shit talk. We did pick up 3/10, but we needed a half a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we ran an 03 in qualifying.
Which, if you look at practice times, you'd think you set the lap record.
Well, so that's what I was going with. Like, that was faster than I thought we were going to run.
Yeah.
I knew. I told my dad. I told my wife. I even told William. I was like, I don't really know how qualifying's going to go. I said, but I think this thing's going to race its ass off, and it did.
Yeah.
You still want to have the speed because it makes it so much easier on you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now you've ran plenty of these, even if you weren't running the full season from the tour races you've ran in the past. This series and this competition's too good. Every spot you come from further back than I'd say 10th.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, it's stupid tough.
Your chances of winning drop probably 50% if
Yeah.
you qualify outside of top 12.
I mean, 100%. I mean, not to get too off, and that's not probably the best gauge, but like the guy that won the race this week started on the pole.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
perfect example.
Yeah.
But we ran 03 in qualifying, and the pole was like a 72.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, man, but we mock practice with
Yeah,
30
so
or 40. So
a 10th would have been pretty big. We were 21st at an 03, a 93. I actually looked at it before I pulled in your driveway. I think would have put us around 10th or 11th. So in 10 spots, that's huge.
yeah,
I mean,
it's definitely it's a big. There is a very big. It's always close, right? Like it's one of the closest series on the planet. So I mean, at the end of the day, like we picked up that much in between a mock run and that's just, I mean, the track. I mean, you told me that you'd never seen the track pick up that much or pick up, or change that much in such a, it was a weird weather deal because it cooled off so much. But I mean, talk about that a little bit, how much what you expected it to do and what it ended up doing.
Yeah, well, for me, I almost became a rookie this weekend in the sense that every time I've been to Langley, Cars Tour Race, Hampton Heat, it's always extremely humid, which it was during the day, so that did not change. And pretty warm, which it was. But then by the time qualifying came around, I mean, it cooled off to, I'd say, be somewhere around in the low to mid 60s. It got cloudy, and I'm like, we're fixing to put down some laps right here.
Yep.
And I went out 22nd. Where'd you go out? 10th. So yeah, and like I was, even from those early cars, I was like, man, it's going to take something here.
I asked all my guys before qualifying. I videoed them for my vlog and was like, what are we going to run here in qualifying? And they were between 35 and 25 because we had just mocked up a 40, I think, 45.
Yeah.
And they're like, 35, 25. You damn do it, turn get you a 25. We'll be sitting pretty. I'm like, hell yeah. So
you're in 08.
08. And I was like, God dang. We're on the damn pole. I was about half excited pulling down the back stretch. I mean, I knew it sped up. I seen 9 more cars go in front of me, but I pulled in and like, hell yeah. And I told them, I was like, whoever is the furthest yes off has to take a shot or something. I told them they had to take a shot at Everclear. Yeah. And they all started laughing and shit. And I came in, I'm like, well, I guess we're all taking shots at Everclear. And then like kind of excited. Then I got the race monitor out. I'm like, damn, I'm 10th out of 10 or 9th out of 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I mean, it did. It picked up a ton. So I seen Dylon before the race, and we actually had Grady over there with us. Yeah. And because all of us were starting relatively close together. I mean, you were what, 24th?
24th.
Yeah. So Grady was 19th, 18th, something like that. I mean, we were all right there together. And I was like, I think I'm gonna ride, but I don't, And so I had a pace picked out in my head, I guess is the best way to put it.
Grady made it very evident to us that he was not going to ride.
Yeah, that. Andrew, you made that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did not.
No, he didn't.
So he was gone. I had a pace picked out, and I just ran that pace, and I actually was able to pick off, I'm going to say, it was either 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And then here come the swarm, and I'm like, go on. I mean, it was Landon, 04. I mean, it was quite a few, and I was like, y'all go on. I'm not. This is the pace I want to run. I'm pretty content running this pace for this first 40. And then I had a huge gap, I think, back to your little group of 3 or 4, and I was like, well, man, I'm just going to.
Me, Mason, and
Hefner.
Hefner, Mason, and me and Minnie were running like nose to tail for 40 laps.
I had a half a straightaway in front of me to them, and I had a half straightaway behind me to them
Yeah.
or to y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I was lifting at the flag stand. I mean,
Yeah,
I was
same.
being as easy as I could, trying to use as little tire on exit.
Yeah.
Let
The
that thing just-
Mason slowed his pace down a lot at one point to where I was gonna get around him, and like I showed him the nose one because the pack behind me was starting to get caught by the leaders, and they were starting to go, and I'm like, God, I don't want to get in their mess. So I kind of showed the nose one time. As soon as I did that, I guess he like, all right, we probably should go. So then he picked up his pace, and so did the 95, and we went to lap 42. So,
yeah.
so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so and then from there, I got the old call, take the top here and let's go.
Yep.
I'm like, all right, well, a little earlier than I wanted to, but we'll try. And so it worked out for me. I picked up the reason we took the top is, again, Carsport has brought the choose cone in this year, and it worked out. I picked up 4 going to the top.
Choose Mark.
Yeah, choose Mark, yeah.
Choose
and
V or whatever.
It worked out because I was able to get in line, so I went to 15th in the running order, and then kind of just started picking them off. So, even then, I wasn't really trying to force the issue, but those guys were coming back to me, man, and I really wasn't using a whole lot of tire. And so, not to get too carried away, we got as high as 8th. The lights went out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And
how blind were you? I seen Landon's in car, and the GoPro is going to pick up more light than you see with the naked eye. And it looked like the caution lights gave you like some light, at least on the GoPro, but it seemed like it was way darker.
Yeah, well, so that was all well and great. The problem is we still ran 3/4 of a lap before they cut those on.
I mean, I was in the infield looking at my wreck pile of shit and watching y'all race, and I couldn't see, like, you couldn't see door number. You could tell if the car was white or black, and that's about it.
So Ryan Millington, I think the kid's first name's Ryan Matthews, the 51 car, and me, we were running nose to tail. I mean, we were racing hard. I mean, like I said, it was 31 to go. There was no riding. There was no more riding. I mean, everybody's going.
Yeah.
And we were coming off of 2, so, I mean, we're in the throttle pit, letting her eat. And they went out. And the last thing that I seen was Millington pull down. And I'm like, oh, God. Because that was the last thing I seen, and I couldn't see nothing. I mean, I rolled out of the gas, but I didn't know where he was. I mean, I really could not tell.
Yeah. His car's very black.
His car is black.
Yeah.
And the thing that I did have that I think helped a little bit, there was at least like a glimmer of light maybe coming through the grandstands from backside. That Matthews kid's running reflective on his car, and it's a white body.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's got some bright colors.
Yeah.
So I at least could see him a little bit.
Right.
But I'm not. I mean, I could not. It was not a comfortable situation.
I bet not.
And I've got to give a tip of the cap to everybody for not wrecking their shit.
Yeah.
Because none of us
agreed.
could see anything.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was a tense time for the racetrack. I don't know this to be factual 100%, but I was told from a fairly reliable source that my understanding is the lights that night were on a timer. They forgot to reset them, and 10 o'clock hit, and
shut right
that's
off.
the night the lights went out in Hampton.
The light show before the race was really cool, though.
It was.
I may have slightly jinxed it. I did say when I seen, so I didn't realize they changed color and stuff. That was really cool.
Yeah, I did not know that either.
But they changed color, like RGB lights. Basically, it's basically like my basement is what it looked like. But the, I did say, like, man, this is cool. I hope they don't hit the wrong button during the race and it starts looking like a nightclub during the race or whatever, like joking around.
Now, I will
it might have been
say,
my fault. I'll take fault.
I will
for it.
say during pace laps they did cut them off, but they had the color ones at the top still on.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't that dark.
Yeah, you can see.
When they went out with 31 to go, she was dark.
It was dark, yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. It was cool, man. I think that's a really cool, that is very unique and a very innovative thing to do in short track racing, and I think it is something that should be looked at by a lot of racetracks.
Yeah.
Problem is, I was also told it costs $800,000 to do it. Not many racetracks have $800,000.
Yeah.
Some of them only pay $600 to win. So
Absolutely.
it's kind of a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
However, if that is ever something brought to the plate and you're a track owner, that is something I would definitely look into. That is some really, really neat stuff, and the fans love it.
Yeah.
Drivers thought it was really cool, and I can't give them enough props for having those lights. That was really neat.
It was really neat. But that caution was a little unfortunate. We were good enough to run, I would say, 7th or 8th. I think, truthfully, that's probably about where we were going to finish. I think the difference between 7th to 11th, and I'd say even 12th, because Minnie was coming pretty hard at the end and had rode back there in your pack and had saved really hard, as well as the 95, and Jacob finished 9th. So I felt like I was better than those guys. But when that caution came out, I took the top on that restart, and the 51 left about a car length probably to McCarty. And Burrow I don't know if he spun the tires, missed a shift. I know when we went by him, it was bouncing off the chip.
There was a checkup there.
And I would almost cleared him and couldn't get down. So, and he got back going, and then I split the 51 and the 15 and got down. And then Riggs was coming pretty hard too because he had that flat and put a tire on. And he got me up off the bottom, and that brought the 95 and the 15 – or no, I'm sorry, the 95 and the 51 with him. And by the time I got down after trying to fight on the top, I just ran out of laps to get back through there. So we ended up 11th. It wasn't what we wanted. I've got a lot of laps around Langley. I mean, I obviously learn every time I go. I struggled a little bit this weekend with like I said, speed. I mean, the car drove pretty dang good all weekend. I was pretty happy with it. Just we were about a tenth and a half off kind of all weekend, sometimes 2/10 on race pace to some of those really quick guys. And I didn't really know why because, I mean, it wasn't like I felt like I was two in the racetrack. We were definitely free. And I could spin the tires anytime you want. I mean, as you touched on, you very rarely ever get to 100% throttle, and if you do, you're only hurting yourself. So, but you know, after a disappointing run at Wilkesboro and a disappointing qualifying effort there, and then once again, same thing at Langley, to go 21st to 11th under green was pretty impressive. I think I'm going to get the hard charger. Not sure.
Well, 11th these days is kind of like a 6th 5 years ago. Or
it is
a year ago.
It is.
So it really is. Like, I mean, I'd be happy as hell to finish 11th right now. So that's saying a lot.
We cars in one piece. We can build on it for Dominion in 2 weeks, and you know, hopefully is a run we can build some momentum off of and click off some top 10s and hopefully some top 5s.
Yeah, well, happy for you. My race went entirely different. So, you know, another new track, it's hard to kind of get the bearings. We didn't have the ability to go test and kind of get acclimated to the track. So Friday I was spent most of the day just learning the racetrack, and something that we've done pretty much all year is sit there and learn the track, make adjustments, and think that we're getting close. And then Saturday we get into practice and mock runs, and we basically turn it all back to how I unloaded on Friday. Like, I feel like I'm making adjustments to the car when in reality I need to make adjustments as to my driving style and my line I'm running and stuff. So it's just tough, man. It's tough on anybody, I think, to go learn new tracks. So it's especially hard for me. I haven't raced a lot of tracks, so that's just, you know, I'm just in there beating the drum. But that's just, you know, that's the reality that I'm facing right now. And it's a tough year to be a rookie, and I am, and just trying to even if I'm 30 years old, you know, I'm a rookie. I'm an old rookie, 27-year-old rookie, you know. So eat shit. I'm not 30 yet.
Yeah, I know they're trying to make you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Live off them 20s.
I mean, I'm an old rookie. That's fair. I'm with it. But you know, learn the track kind of, and just trying to get acclimated. Made some bad adjustment calls, made some good ones, and then qualifying, like we kind of already talked about it. Track picked up a lot. Thought I ran a good lap. Kind of did. I mean, honestly, like, looking back at it, watching my GoPro and stuff, like, I was like, man, that's pretty damn good. I just wasn't ready for that much grip. Like, I probably could have got on a little quicker, drove it in a little harder, but like, that's sort of I think that's the end of ever qualifying for me, you know, like, you know, you're just trying to get all you can, and you know, a lot of times I pick it up too early, get myself tight, and I'm trying to find that fine line, learn the patience of it, and learn air pressure splits, and learn just stuff that, you know, people already know that I'm racing against. So aside from that, race started 24th, and you know, just rode like you said, got around a couple guys, let a couple go, just sort of probably evened out around 20th, 22nd, something like that, I think, roughly. A couple guys pitted, so just got some by attrition. And then second 40-lap stint, pace picked up slightly for me. I started realizing where I wasn't good and was good at, and that's something that I've tried to do as a driver, is figure out, like, you're not going to be good everywhere. Like, right now, at this state of my racing career and the state of our team, I'm not going to be good all over the racetrack. There's going to be places I've got to sacrifice. And this week it was off kind of center of 1 and 2. I would get a little bit tight at what I call the second apex, is kind of what it seems like, where the track juts out. I would sort of just lose my right front right there just a hair. But everybody else would get it turned right there, gas it up, and come off sideways, where I had a lot of forward drive because I got tight. And it would sort of even itself out. And same with tire temps and stuff. I didn't get my right front too hot. I didn't get the right rear too hot. Maybe the right front got a little hotter than it should have been because I got a little tight in 3 and 4. But I was getting through 3 and 4 really well. And actually, my tightness off of 2 helped me because I would pull people off of 2 by the end. So it worked out.
You found the rut.
Yeah. Found the ruts. I'm not saying I would have went out there and passed 5-6 more cars, but actually after the first 40 lapper, we chose the top, and I think I passed about 6 cars. I gained about 6 spots, and even I think even equaled out on that restart. I was able to roll the top pretty well. Was a little nervous about it after what happened to practice, but rolled the top well, and that's kind of like why I was okay with running the top after that. It's a dive bomb track. I knew it. If you came off the bottom at all, someone would get there.
You took the top with me one time, didn't you?
Yeah, I took the top once and took the bottom once. After the second stint, I took the bottom, and that's when that checkup happened. And it was almost a little bit of almost a hood bow up, but was able to avoid it, and everything kind of evened out. So I think we were 18th.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, at that point, you had it because I was 15th, so you had to be.
I could see. I think I was 18th, 16th. 17th, something like that, a couple of times, and settled in. And then towards the end of I just caution came out for the second deal, and then during the third deal, it was when that restart happened on the bottom, and the guys that had really been saving hard that I passed by choosing the top, which was, I think, Hefner, Minnie, the 99 because he had a right front flat. A couple other guys, Mason, were all coming. And I hadn't burnt my stuff off, but I felt confident in letting a couple of those guys go and kind of follow them through was my goal.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I think me and you now with our experience, I mean, when those guys, especially some of those, they're going to make holes. And all you got to do is fill them. That was my goal, was to fill some holes up. I knew I didn't really have the car nor the experience to go out there and make my own holes on this night, but my goal was to follow them. And I was riding the top, waiting to get in line behind. I was trying to get in front of Bryant because me and him had raced a little bit. I think I was a little better. He passed me a couple times. He passed me on the top when I was saving, so he may have been better. But my goal was to get down in front of him. But he filled the gap, as he should, and as he was filling the gap, Dad said, "Reckon," and I expected a big checkup on the bottom, so I figured Bryant and some of those guys would go to the top, and by the time I had made the decision to do this, I seen the 31 sitting there in the middle of the track and got myself back over on the right rear and tried to sneak back down to the bottom. At that point, I knew it wasn't going to happen. Yeah.
And locked it down.
He was sitting right where, as a driver, if you go top, you run out of grip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and looking back on it, I was like, man, if I would have turned right and went to the top, I'd have just hit the slit shut stuff and knocked the absolute shit out of the wall, too, and probably still hit him anyway or hit his driver's door. There's really not a lot I could have done. Looking back on it, if I could read the future and knew that was coming, I would have just sucked down right on the 5's door, pushed him on the grass or apron, and tried not to wreck us both and hopefully get underneath it. Who knows if that happens or not, but it would have been
We're
tough.
Talking milliseconds of doing all this too.
It was very difficult. I'm pretty hard on myself about getting through wrecks and things I could have done, but most of the time. But man, this one I couldn't do shit. I just was kind of along for the ride. I'm sure most of you have seen the GoPro, seen your angle, what you're seeing, and my perspective. But even the broadcasting stuff, I think, tells the story, right? Yeah. It's pretty obvious that there wasn't a whole lot I could do. And like I said, man, it's such a short, quick reaction. I'm probably 95% of getting through wrecks like that now. Before this, I was 99. So
and at this point too, I think we're around 80 laps into the race.
Probably almost 90, 95, whatever.
So it ain't like the tires had a ton of feel good in them anyway.
No, it wasn't like I could really do what I wanted. But yeah, by the time I was sliding towards him and hit him with the right front first, kind of on his left front fender / tire area. And then it cranked me, and my right rear slapped his left rear, and then I rolled up the hill and hit the left rear on the concrete on the wall. And as I was doing that, the 42 also was in the same scenario I was. I'm assuming the same shit that happened to me happened to him, and he also drove in there, and he hit hard too. He hit a ton. I think he hit the 31 car harder than I, at least in a worse spot maybe, because he kind of hit him driver's door, but probably got it slowed down a little bit too. And dude, I'm telling you, just alone. It's not like I'm the only car that hit him. You know?
No,
I hit him. The 42 Carson hit him, who I've always seen make good decisions, and Landon also too, who also makes good decisions. So, you know, I guess it made me feel a little better that I wasn't the only one to do it. But you know, it's just part of that track. It's so flat. It's a blind spot. When it's flat like that, you know, if it's a banked racetrack, you can see the top and see what's happening, and they slide it all the way to the top. So. So I don't even think it's a rookie mistake, man. It's just part of the deal. It was, you know, anytime a race car is torn up, it's a mistake. And my mistake was being in the back, towards the back. So, I don't think I made a critical error. It's just a shitty deal. So with that being said, you know, tore up race car, sucks. There was, you know, the driver of the other car got mad, and he got out of the car and left and went to his pits, I guess. And then
drove to his pits.
I mean, I didn't even know who I hit. He drove his car to his pits?
Yeah, he had come down pit road.
All right. So he drove out of there, and so I don't know. I guess probably a crew member told him, yeah, they never stopped. Just came in and hit you. And it was only the 4 car, you know, like, you know, it seemed like there was a lot of confusion and not a lot of data, or not data, but didn't look at the facts of the matter. Like there was, it was pretty obvious I couldn't really do shit. So, So he came back out there and started yelling, tell me that I sucked and why did I ruined his car, and he don't have the money to fix it. He's not a rich kid like me, and you know, that's pretty much all he said. But he didn't say anything until the 8 safety workers were in between us, so I didn't know what he was mad about. I didn't know who it even was because his car was gone.
Right. Like,
I was confused. So I just thought it was funny. That's why I laughed, because, you know, like, what are we, the WWE? You don't come out here and try to fight me because we wrecked.
Right.
You know, you're the one that wrecked. So I get it. You know, the thing with, like, the whole deal with it all to me is that I totally understand the frustration. I respect the passion to go back out there and do that and all that. But I just don't think he had all the facts. And I know he talked a lot of shit on the interviews and all that good stuff, and that's cool. But everything he said was so wrong between what I'm about, how old I am, what I've done in my life, what kind of budget we worked with, and what happened in the wreck. Everything he talked about on the interview was completely wrong.
Right.
I totally respect a local guy. I am a local guy that is doing it with my dad and trying to figure it out with a couple other guys helping us out. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. I totally, and even with him, like, I don't even need an apology or anything like that. It's just one of those things. You know, he's pissed off. He got his car tore up, and he was sitting there for a couple seconds, and then he got hit again. He was like, what the hell are you doing? So I totally understand it. Like, there's really no reason to, you know, that's why I wasn't mad. That's why I was laughing. Like, I mean, if you want to fight, we can, but I don't, you know, it is what it is. I understand it. I know why he's mad. And I think, like I said, his mind's probably changed a little bit over it, but, it was annoying to be in that situation, right? Like, even after the wreck, I'm talking just post wreck and, you know, making a scene over it and all that. Like, that's just not, there's no place for it. If me and him wrecked each other for the win and we're out there beating the hell out of each other, that's one thing. But wrecking at like 15th, you know, with 30 laps to go, and you go out there and kind of create fireworks, and I'm not even the one that wrecked you, you know, I think that's just something that's just from being a young guy, a young, fiery, passionate guy. So that's just part of the deal. So, you know, I think he said some things that were wrong, and I think he's getting grilled for it a little bit on social media, and I'd rather you guys not grill him over it, because just passion, that's racing. That's what makes racing fun, is the fact that people are extremely passionate over it, even if it is for damn 15th or whatever. Me personally, I wouldn't have done that, but I did it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to defend the shit out of myself. So,
oh yeah, well, I mean,
I'm not going to put up with any of them kind of antics. So, I think I did good. Are you proud of me of how I handled the situation? Because a lot of people thought it was going to go a different way.
Yeah, man, what a great platform to really say what you think, right? So I told you, Dylan and I seen each other after the race was over, and I, of course, as a friend of his and everything, I rolled through there, and it knocked a radiator out of it. So at first, I couldn't see that it was him. It was just, obviously hot steam and smoke. And then the closer we got rolling that way, I was like, man, I think I know who that is. And then, obviously that it was him. So obviously, as I rolled by, I seen how tore up it was. So I was gutted for him. And then we came around to the backstretch because they red flagged it and 45'd us. So I was looking dead at it, and yeah, I mean, I think Cole made an ass of himself. I'll be honest, and I think the main reason why is because, like I said, he had driven off, and then he walked from pit road back out there.
Yeah.
So he could have waited. He could have came and found you, or what?
Well, if he wanted to fight, he would have met me in the pits where
right.
Could see
and
us.
so I didn't quite.
I think he just wanted to state his case.
Yeah.
So I get it.
So and I think what it boils down to, I've wrecked people. We've been in wrecks. He was frustrated that his car was tore up.
Yeah.
And I think it just so happened that
I think you should also maybe look at where most of his damage came from.
Yeah.
I mean, I hit him, but the guy hit 2 more times.
Yeah. Well, and I can speak to it. He was already going to need a nose.
Yeah.
From the race, I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, but to answer your question and not get too long-winded, yeah, I think he did, because when I seen him going that way, I was like, oh, he does not want to go bark up that tree. So yeah, I mean, I think he did. I mean, it obviously everybody listening knows it's not like you were happy.
Yeah.
I mean, you just climbed out of your race car and
I was pretty mad.
You knew what
it wasn't like I got wrecked. It was just a deal.
Yeah.
I guess it's that being a 55-year-old man like I am and being a rookie, it's easier for me to keep my cool in those situations, and also I know that I'm representing the Cars Tour, and that's a guy that I've never seen in my life.
Right.
Not saying based off of performance or nothing, not talking shit, just saying I don't know him. So why am I if it's 2 tour guys or something and you know each other, there's probably a lot more history behind it, and there's probably a little more room for being pissed off and yelling at each other. But if it's somebody you don't know and you don't even know why they're mad, there's no point in escalating the situation. If I would have escalated it more, I wouldn't even have known why I was even mad at that point. I don't even know why. He just came talking shit, and he said some things, but not something that I'm gonna absolutely just lose my mind over. He don't know me, obviously. After the interview, it's hard to get mad at somebody if they don't know you. And everything he said, and people were coming up to me, look what he said on the interview. Look at, I'm like, I mean, literally, you don't even know who I am.
Right.
He's sitting there saying that we're super rich and Daddy writes my checks and all this shit. We're not, you don't even know what he's talking about. He's just mad. Let him cool off and he'll be fine. Yeah. So that's kind of what I did. And I tried to handle it with I haven't been in many situations like that on the track. I don't like conflict, and I don't like to fight people, and I don't like having I like having a good time and we're doing this for fun, right?
Right.
So anytime a situation gets like that, it's annoying. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm here to represent the Cars Tour in a positive light, and not only the Cars Tour, but every sponsor I have. My sponsors are mostly alcohol, and that's supposed to be good times, not bad times. So
right.
I'm always going to represent them with good times and celebration in my head. So really, that's all I got to say about it. I mean, there ain't really a whole lot. I think everyone that seemed like a lot of the social media feedback is like, why the hell is he mad at him? And and who is he even talking about? Because the Dylon is not the guy he's talking about. So I don't know. I get it. And I don't want to get too long-winded on it. I guess I already am, but it's a happening topic in my life right now, because I didn't feel like it was a well-deserved ass chewing or attempt at an ass chewing.
I mean,
it just part of it. I get it. Sure, I know. I understand the frustration, and I respect the passion. It's just part of being a young race car driver. So, it is what it is. I wish, hopefully, he gets his car fixed up and gets back racing. I'm sure he's got some pretty good damage, but it ain't like it's completely killed. Ours is a little worse off, and Speaking of that, it's a little worse than we thought. We had, obviously it was tore up. Basically all cosmetic shit on the right side. Nose hood, suspension parts, rear end was killed, and I didn't know that at the time. The rear end's pretty bad. Not really sure on the clip yet, but obviously everything else in between is pretty much done for. And it's a several $1,000 repair, and that's just something that we don't have right now. And I think I'm considering making a vlog or a YouTube video on how much it costs to fix a late model when you shit can it. Our only decision that we had to make at one point was, are we going to be able to get it to race or not? And when we looked at the numbers, we're like, there ain't no way in hell I can pay for all these repairs, even if we do get to use parts from people, and then also pay to go get hotel rooms at Dominion, race at Dominion, and assume whatever risk happens there too. So we made the executive decision to pull out old Betty Ballou, the original Neon Knight, the car I ran at Wilkesboro last year, Hickory last year, the car I've ran every single race of my life in except for starting this year in. So Matthew Dillner said it's going to be like putting on an old pair of slippers, and that's a good way to put it, man, because that's my baby doll. It's a 2006 chassis. It flexes like a sumbitch. I'm not sure if the front lip's been on it or not, but the damn thing turns good as shit. So I don't know how well it saves tires, but it does them. It'll turn, and I can pass with it.
Good thing we're going somewhere you ain't got to worry about saving.
Yeah, so we're taking it to Dominion. Never in my life that I thought I would say I'm taking my 2006 car to Dominion, but damn if I'm not excited for that. And I'm also excited for Caraway in it. Because we're going to do it 2 times at the minimum. Could go to Hickory in the throwback, because then I don't even have to run a throwback. It'll just be that is the throwback.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're back in the old girl. After what happened this past weekend, it's tore up. It's not killed. I don't even know. Like, the clip's probably okay. Rear clip, I think it's okay. Center section's definitely fine. It's just, man, it's so much work, so much time, and a lot of money to put into it. And so many people reached out to me and offered help, and some even reached out and told me I could drive their car risk-free with no payment. And it's really appreciated, and I also feel, it makes me feel good that I think I'm doing something right, to have as many people in my corner and as many people that supported me even after the wreck that said, that wasn't your fault, you can't do nothing there, don't beat yourself up, if you need anything, let me know. I know how hard it is. And I did that with, there's 3 or 4 people that did that. So that means a lot to me and our team. Obviously the team has been through as much as I have this year, and they've worked their asses off, it surprises me how much they come over and how much they work. I'm like, God, man, like, I don't want y'all to get burnt out. Like, you don't have to come every night. And they're like, man, we love being here. This is where we want to be. We want to go out there and run good, and we want to give you the best car we can give you, and make it easier on you. So, I guess this period, even like in the past couple of weeks have been tough, just not running good and not having the results we want, but just having some failures as far as mechanically. I've made some mistakes as a driver, and it just, you feel like you're not good enough. It's hard. I don't want to get, this is a happy podcast, right? And we're talking about things that happen good, but at the end of the day, man, it's tough when you get to a point in your career where you're not running in the top 60% of the field or 70% of the field. And, something that I have taken, it's just tough because it's a lot of sacrifice to go out there and run in the back. And it's like, is it worth it? Like, why am I doing this if I'm running in the back? Like, I could go run at Hickory and run top 5 probably easily, or Wake County or something like that, and spend a whole lot less money and still have as much fun and probably more checkered flags. But, as soon as something like this happens, it reminds you of how worth it is, because of the amount of people that are behind you, the amount of people that want you to do good, and also the, just the general, the how good it. And I approached this race differently. I really did. Start of the week last week, I was like kind of in the dumps about it, and you could probably tell on even text to you. I was like kind of like, I knew we were in a grind mode. I knew how tight our budget was to even make it to Langley without damage. But at the end of the day, it made me. I was like, man, I'm racing late models. I need to have fun. Like I'm forgetting like. It's as hard as the Cup Series, but it ain't the Cup Series. It's supposed to be a fun, good time, and I'm quit treating it like such a big deal every time and just go out there and be happy that I'm on a racetrack again. So I felt that way at Langley again.
Yeah, well, I think you touched on some good topics, and I think what is unfortunate yet fortunate about this, and you and I being such good friends, is folks, I'm not really going to echo everything Dylon just said because I think he said it perfectly, but one thing that he touched on right there at the end, I didn't tear my car up this past weekend, and I did run 11th, but if you've looked at really my stats over the last 2.5 years, I'm not lighting the world on fire either, and I won't get all into that because that's for he and I to keep with ourselves, but I sent him a pretty long text message yesterday, and just through the gist of it was to keep his head up, to realize that he belongs here and that, we all are grinding this deal out. It's tough, and I know exactly what he means of how easy it is to get down and be negative when you feel like you should be running better than what you're doing, and it's super easy. And this, I think, relates to any race car driver to question anything and everything, yourself, your equipment,
right?
Why am I doing this? Do I want to do this anymore?
Yeah.
No,
it's
not to reiterate what Derek Lancaster said a few seasons ago. He got mad, but he goes, instead of coming out here and sweating my fat ass off in this race car, I can be on a boat.
Yeah.
But it was like you touched on. We all love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do. And so,
sometimes you just need to be reminded that you love it.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll, I ain't no different than you, man. When I don't run good, like even after Wilkesboro, I mean,
kind of like your old lady. Sometimes she bitches at you a lot, and you're like, God dang, I gotta go home and see her. Then you get home, like, man, she looks pretty good in them shorts. I do. Yeah, I love her.
But it's just.
And my marriage is probably hanging on by a thread now that I said that. I'm just kidding.
But it's tough, man, and and like you said, you're a family-run team, and that's it. Like I said, man, I had to quickly snap out of it because I immediately felt for you. You're my buddy, and I could see that it wasn't hard to look at and go that nothing out of that's gonna be good.
Yeah,
it was tore up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was tore up. So, I guess the highlight of my Sunday, besides coming home and getting back settled in, was he texted me last night about 11:30 and said, "Old Betty's coming out of retirement."
Yeah, we made that executive decision a few beers in, and we were just weighing our options. We really were.
Yeah.
We were like, look, I can drive this car. There's a car I can drive that someone made available to me. And it's way better than probably what we have, and there's no risk to assume with it. And then there's also opportunity elsewhere as far as getting help financially or even just through parts or whatever. But if I tear a car up, whether it was my fault or not, I don't want to have to rely on someone else to bail me out. I think that's what makes a good race team is being resourceful, and whether that's fixing my car, which we had initially planned on doing all week long, we have decided to just switch seats, put it in Betty Ballou over there, and go see if we can't get that damn neon turd up to the a little better than we have been. And I'm excited. Like I said, it's like old slippers. Getting in old slippers, I've ran every race in my life, won every race that I've ever won in my life in that race car. And it's just, it's going to feel good. I'm going to be excited to be back in it. So I was pretty down about having to go to Dominion, another new track. It's gripped up and all that good stuff. But now that I get to go fly the old girl around, I'll feel a little better about it. So I'll be easy on her and try to keep her in one piece and see what she's got. But, I have a lot more comfort in that race car, I think. So, I guess to turn a negative into a positive, tearing the hell out of a race car at Langley, I get to drive the car that I fell in love with at a track I've never been to. So, it's like going on a date, with the old fling you had that you're excited for. You and her had some pretty crazy nights in the bed and stuff. So you're like excited to go back on a date with her. That's how I feel about my old car. So I'm excited for it. I'm again thankful for all the support from everyone, including listeners and people on Twitter and Facebook and all that kind of let me know that, I guess it, wasn't my fault, and I could have, there's nothing I can do. Not that I need that reassurance every time, but it is good to get it and know that people's behind her. Sometimes you wonder if all the work on social media and putting yourself out there that much is really worth it, right? To let everybody know who you are, because, I'm a private person, but in the recent years, I've gotten a lot more open and show everybody what's going on.
Right.
And, I wonder if it's worth it sometimes. I feel like some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life don't have Twitter and Facebook and stuff. And there was a time in my life where I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to be like that. Like, I just stay off there. And, sometimes I wouldn't say it's embarrassing, but I think I don't want to ever seem needy on social media. But so I guess that's why I've always been a little hesitant about it. But after something that happened this past weekend and getting criticism from someone that was completely untrue and having a lot of people back me up makes me realize that it's definitely worth the worth putting yourself out there and letting people know who you really are and what you stand for, and showing everybody how hard you work and how hard and what it takes to get there. And hopefully one day my kids or whatever will look back on all this, and kind of, like I said, it's kind of the reason I'm even doing it, just so I'm kind of down in the history books and down on, as far as doing vlogs. That's why I put myself out there, so I can go back and watch it one day.
Yeah.
I don't have great memory. I can't really tell you what happens every lap of the race like you can. And it helps me to go back and look at stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, especially 5-6 years. I wish I would have vlogged when I won at Hickory or Wake County and stuff back in the day. And,
God, what was that, 20 years ago? I mean,
yeah, it was back when I was in my early 20s, and now I'm fucking 72 or something, I think they said, and I'm a rookie. So that's just, I'm gonna play off of that for the rest of my career.
Yeah.
When I turn 30,
folks,
I'm
as you can see,
shit.
we're running with it.
When I turn 30, I'm gonna get a hold of Cole Bruce and say, "Damn it!" That's all I'm gonna say. I'm finally 30 years. I ain't a rookie anymore, though, so that counts for something. So, it's just part of the deal, man. I know I'm an old rookie, but I'm having a good time doing it. Sometimes I need reminders to keep having fun. I've struggled with, mindset and depression and anxiety a lot in my life, and not as much in racing, I guess. I mean, most of the time, racing's just fun for me. But I've kind of carried it on as more of a profession now.
Yeah,
and not that it is my profession, but it feels like one to me. And
well, it's got to be.
If I'm not good, I feel like I'm not good at my profession, and I shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
If you're not good at your job, you're going to get fired.
Well, none of us are doing this to ride around.
Right.
I mean, we're just not.
And so it's a very interesting life and career and hobby or whatever you want to call it, because it's brutal. It can be tough on you. It can be very sweet, and you can reap the rewards and walk across driver intros at Wilkesboro and get the biggest roar and have all these fans and cool stuff going on for a week, and the next week you're at your lowest point. You just tore tar all to hell. So
yeah,
that's just how it is.
No, man, I think that's the perfect mindset. I mean,
and I'm trying to continue the working on mental health and trying to, because it's something that's just not talked about a lot in racing, man. It's hard to balance all that stuff the right way and still be, still enjoy it, still be competitive, and still take it serious. It's hard to do all that in the same realm, and I'm learning that because I've never raced full time.
Right.
I've just ran for fun most of the time, and it's something that I'm still learning how to do and not add unneeded pressure to myself. Right. That's why I tried to vlog before qualifying and ask them what they thought I was going to run and be a little more smiley before the race and kind of laugh about shit. And I did that at Langley. Felt good. The result wasn't great, but I don't think that was the reason. So I'm trying to do stuff like that more and just work on my psyche a little bit and try not to be so hard on myself and keep moving forward. I don't want to turn this into a better help or a better yourself podcast by no means, but I just feel like all you guys needed to hear it, and I'm glad to, I'll always be pretty transparent with everyone as far as how I'm feeling and what my intentions are going forward. And speaking of going forward, Dominion's up next, and I'm running my old car, and we like to talk about what our expectations and goals are for the next race. And for me, I don't know how many cars will be there and stuff, but I would just like to be. I want to go have fun in my old car, and I want to go. I would love to just go be somewhere top 15 and just be there all damn day in practice, learn the track quick, all that. Like, I also need to figure out how to not worry about times on Friday as much and just learn the racetrack and then worry about times on Saturday. So that's what I'm, no big goals for me. Just go out there, finish the race on the lead lap, pass some cars, keep old girl nice and clean. That's my goals.
I'm excited for you because I don't know, like, really looking at it, it probably ain't, but, like, I'd say outside of Wilkesboro, you're going to be hauling the mail. It's a different kind, but I think just because it's so momentum-based, I mean, like, I'm excited to see at the end of practice on Friday.
A lot of throttle time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to roll, but, like, it's very on-off.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can sink her down in there. I mean, you really can. So I'm excited for you. That I get enjoyment out of it, man, because, like, I got my own thing, and, like,
it's the absolute opposite of a track of what I liked and what I've ran. I will say that. So it's
going
to be a
you had a blast
experience.
at Tri-County.
I did, but you could run the top there and pass on the top. So
do not try to go run the top. If you go run the top at Dominion,
Yeah, it'll be so Dominion. I'm not gonna lie with y'all. I'm not real excited about that racetrack. Like, it's not one that I think is circled on the schedule as far as being worn out, racy, all that good stuff. It's pretty high speed, hard on motors. Got to turn a lot. Got to have good motor. And it just doesn't. It's not up our alley. So I hope we do surprise ourselves. But my goal is just go out there, lead lap, finish, be competitive around the cars that I'm racing against, and So, but you have some experience there, and you. I mean, what are you thinking, man? Like, what is your deal? Like, is your goal just go get yourself top 10, or do you think?
No, man. I don't want to sound cocky, but just I think you touched on it.
This is one track me and you haven't talked a lot about. It's really Dominion, other than you just.
I'm hoping to go in here and I'm not going to say win the race, but I'm hoping to go in here and do something.
Mm-hmm.
I finished third there back-to-back years, 19 and 20, and then have not ran that great there since. So
yeah,
and haven't really changed anything. The only thing that's changed is competition gets harder every damn year.
Mm-hmm.
Me and you talk about it every week. People probably think we're playing the same spot from the first podcast on the sixth one, but we're not, folks. You'll hear it all year. You're going to hear it 16 weeks, if not more. It is it's just a balls out track, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is fun in my opinion. It's tough to pass, but it's not unpassable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just restarts can make or break you. That's where you really can get all you can get, and a guy can change the outcome of his race for better or for worse. But I'm hoping to go in there and definitely, my goal and a pleasing run is going to be top 10. Anything outside of it's really just going to probably piss me off. I mean, I'm ready to turn that corner. So, but qualifying's important. I'm not saying you can't come from the back. Jonathan Finley won it in 20 or 20. I can't remember which year. And I know he started kind of deep.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say that it can't be done, but I think me and you, like we touched on earlier, this year, I think this year, to this point, the 6 races that have been ran, the winner probably came from within the top 5. I don't know that to be fact. That's me off the top of my head, but sitting here quick thinking on it, I'd say that's probably right.
Yeah.
So, and then not to veer from Dominion, but real quick, I want to touch on it because I know me and you've talked about it a little bit. I wanted to give a tip of the cap to Danny, Keeley, Jack, everybody, Langley's track crew. We've all kind of been complaining. Well, not really complaining, but I think as drivers that some of the cautions this year, man, have been brutal.
They did a great job.
And this week, man, at Langley,
real fast.
Quick, super quickie yellows, like when we had the breaks. I mean, get everybody lined up,
quickie yellows
choose
are
at
nice.
2 to go. And
I know at one point I was drinking, and Dad said, all right, come to the choose. I'm like, God damn, I was putting my straw up.
And so, we have been running around for 100 laps under caution. And it's just kind of ridiculous. Wears equipment out, gets aggravating, and we didn't do that. And then also, it was unfortunate. not to bring your deal up again, but when they had that, instead of us riding around for 10 laps and then red flagging it, they did it immediately. So
yeah. No, they did a really good job. And Langley's safety workers and track crew and all that stuff, they did a really good job with me and the whole wreck incident. I didn't know I had to I didn't know how to take a ride in an ambulance. I'm like, why am I getting in an ambulance? Is what I was asking that guy. And I was like, I'm fine. Like, I don't want to scare my family at home. He's like, we got to do it. We got to take you back. You wrecked like hell. I'm like, all right. So I got in there. But they did a really good job. They made sure I was okay. Asked if I had any kind of concussion symptoms or anything like that. So they did a really good job, and they were supportive, and they tried to de-escalate. I think they were scared I was really mad and I was going to fight. But they were, I think, pretty pleased once I got in the ambulance.
Yeah.
I was just like, well, that sucks. So,
but back to Langley too, folks. We don't know all the details yet, but just to touch on it, Dylan and I are going to get to do something pretty cool, or at least something I'm pretty excited about, to give back, as well as the remaining Touring 12 drivers at Dominion. Minnie Tyrell and his foundation have put together where we are going to kind of give, I guess for you folks who, I think that maybe the easiest thing to relate it to would kind of be like a My Wish weekend for some sick kids up at Dominion Raceway. Minnie and his family have put together for the Touring 12 drivers. We're going to, each of us drivers are going to have a family. Next weekend at Dominion, and
most with a terminally ill child.
So and I thought
it'll definitely change perspective on life a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I thought Minnie touched on it pretty good right before the end of the drivers meeting at Langley. He said we all get to go out here and do this, and some of these kids, due to the different conditions, are lucky to go outside and see the sun. So I know I'm looking forward to that. It's the least we can do, and
I would do it every weekend.
So I think that's really cool. And again, folks, that's going to take place at Dominion next weekend. So I'm sure
if you are going up there and you see the kids, they're coming out and driver intros and stuff, man, be loud. It's going to be cool for them to do this, and probably not many opportunities in their life that they've had to be able to go walk out on a stage and do all that cool stuff and hang around race cars and stuff that kids dream of. So even if we are a bunch of idiots, they don't really know it yet. So it'll be really cool. I'm excited for it too. I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to say something about it. But it'll be a really good time.
I know we have dinner with them Friday night, a comedy show, and then Saturday we've got.
And good for Minnie and his family too for putting everything together.
Yeah,
really cool.
It's really neat to see. So I'm excited to get up there. Like I said, familiar racetrack for me. I think you're going to enjoy it. I know you said you're not really looking forward to it, but I think you're going to change that just because I think you're going to have fun.
Yeah.
It's
well, I just kind of meant the high grip.
Yeah, no, deal. I mean, it doesn't.
The facility looks freaking awesome.
It doesn't fit my either. I mean, as you know, even though I've had success there, I'm not really a guy to go for these. Oh, let's go to these.
Well, I mean, I've never ran anything like it really. I mean, it's essentially as new as Langley is. So I mean, hell, I don't know, it might be good. So we'll see. Man, I don't really have a whole lot else to talk about. Man, we went pretty long today. We're like hour 20. So, I just have, only closing remarks I have is just, thanks for everybody for, tuning in and making this podcast worth doing. Me and him we would do it whether we had 0 listeners or not, or 100 or whatever it is. So we really enjoy it, and thank all y'all for everything. As far as the whole situation over the past week, I mean, it's totally cool. There's no beef there for me. I understand the frustrations again and all that. So I do think there's better ways to handle that situation going forward, and I'm sure he's learned. But there's really no way to. You can't really waste your time telling somebody that honey tastes better than shit. It's just something you have to learn. So just part of it. That's racing. Everybody's passionate. Everybody's fiery. It's good for the sport, I think. I think there's things you can do to maybe justify the actions a little bit more, but that's part of it. Again, thanks to everyone for tuning in, listening, watching on YouTube, all that good stuff. We have been doing a really good job as far as cranking these things out each week and being pretty optimized on the schedule and stuff, the track ratings and all that. We are looking for anybody that wants to run some advertisements on this podcast or on the YouTube channel, and we have some space on the video feed and all that good stuff. If you ever want to go out there and get your name out there a little bit, we can help you out some.
Yeah.
we're no Joe Rogans, but we can make something happen for you probably. So be sure to message myself or Brandon just personally, and we'll get back with you on it and see what we can do. But going forward, we're gonna keep digging, keep grinding. We're gonna stay positive, and I'm gonna go have a date with old girl, and you're gonna go try to keep your momentum up.
I'm gonna take the new ride to Dominion.
Yeah.
So
keep
the
your
new
momentum
scheme,
going.
It looked pretty good at Langley.
I liked it.
So.
Yeah, that was a good ass looking scheme.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody. They I had a lot of people come up to me and say they liked it.
Real beachy feeling, which is the goal, but
Yeah.
it is cool. It you need to wear a Hawaiian shirt or something at Dominion.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
with your
you know
damn
what?
something that matches your shit.
Might have to bring up the old Bucky's
The
hat, the
Bucky's
driver
hat,
intros.
Hawaiian shirt, some shorts, and some flops.
Yep.
That would match your car really well. And then I'll probably just be wearing a hangover. But for the rest of the week, we're gonna be working like hell, getting the old car ready to go, and also next week. And I'm sure you and your boys will be doing the same, getting ready to rock and roll again.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that real quick. So, obviously, guys, everybody knows I drive for Lee Poyen Performance. I wanted to give a tip of the cap to Aaron Donnelly. He runs late model for us in South Boston.
First
He
win.
got his first career
Beat
late model
Peyton,
stock.
too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, knocked the fence down after the checkered flag.
That's part of it. The pictures in Victory Lane were awesome.
Yeah. So, that was I got out of the car. Lee's like, man, I'm proud of you. Donnelly won. I'm like, awesome. He's like, yeah, he tore it all to hell. I'm like, what? You want to see the video. So that was unfortunate. And then his dad, Chris Donnelly, also unfortunately got tore up. So
damn,
I'm actually making a trip up there this week, and
you got some rivets to drill out and shit.
we've got some. We do have some clips to replace.
Yeah, well,
so
you'll have that.
I'm gonna help the boys because the July 1st race is coming up, and I think we're gonna have a full house there. I'll be running. Aaron will be running. I'm pretty sure Chris and our other limited driver were scheduled to be running. So it'll be a busy couple weeks. So we definitely
got our work cut out for us. Both of us do. So it'll be fun. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll crank another one out here after Dominion, I'm sure. In the meantime, I actually have a couple plans. Me and Travis Moonhead Brown, if you guys are familiar with him, are working on some potential shows and stuff now that he lives in Troutman. Our goal was to have an After Dark podcast once he moves to North Carolina. So he's here now. So if you guys want to hear the raunchier side of things that I say, you guys can tune into that. But it is going to have nothing to do really with racing. So if you're for the racing, I probably wouldn't listen to that. This is the show for Cars Tour. So anyway, just kind of keeping y'all in tune with what's all going on with me. I've got a vlog coming out this week, obviously, showing everything, and I'll kind of explain in depth more the whole wreck and stuff. I did a lot of it on this podcast, and I'll probably even use some clips from this podcast for it. So, my wife wasn't there, so it's not going to be as good of a vlog, but it is a pretty exciting, controversial sort of vlog.
Right.
But we'll see how it all goes. I'm also, like I said, working on seeing how much it'll cost to fix and make a video about that. So a lot of exciting things going on. We're going to take this pile of shit that we was handed and turn it into something good, I guess. So we'll keep on grinding. Thanks for tuning in again, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks after we go race in Sportsylvania, Virginia at Dominion.
Appreciate everybody.
See y'all.